I'm Joe Velez with Ultra, and I want to sort of get things kicked off on the diving into the actual transformation process that we did. And if you think about a general transformation definition, we're really trying to drive key business processes to an improved future state that are impactful or transform the business. For Chicago Tube, I'm going to turn it over to Chris Purdell, who's the VP of IT, and he'll talk about the Chicago Tube transformation experience and give you an overview of Chicago Tube itself.
Thank you, Joe. Welcome, everybody. My name is Chris Prodell. I'm the Vice President of IT here at Chicago Tube and Iron. We're a metal service center. We have 8 locations throughout the Midwest, mostly, and 1 in North Carolina. We are proud of our 100-plus year history of a company, and we're well into our 2nd century of servicing our customers.
Let's talk about the start of the project, kind of business drivers a little bit. You can give us a little background, Chris, on how you began the transformation and what drove you to the decision to move forward.
We were afraid we would wake up one day and not be able to support. So it was the proverbial burning platform. So we knew we had to change.
Chris, as Chicago Tube was deciding to start the project, even to the point of bringing in help to start the project. How did that go?
Quite honestly, Joe, we made 2 decisions early on that I felt really helped us out. And one was, discussing with the executive council, I had asked them to use a consultant. I said, we do a lot of things well here at Chicago Tube. We like to think we do anyways. But changing systems isn't one of them. It's not our core competency, and we wanted to find somebody who is their core competency. Second was I asked that we make this a company project and not an IT project.
One thing that we want to share is when we talk about the transformation journey, what you see on your screen is sort of at a macro level, the flow that we typically use with clients, where we go through a business process analysis and develop some key target future state elements that then are used in selecting software. And then finally, of course, we do the implementation. So let's talk about the selection experience itself and how that went, Chris.
I'm a big fan of that, of the methodology, the Ultra methodology. So what you're showing there is good. Working with Ultra, and by then we assembled our core team, and our core team had at that point probably 30 people on it, and we met and we were building that future state, and it really got us going in the right mindset of meeting, and everybody had a day job, right? But they we were pulling people in from all of our different locations, and we got them in that mindset of this is what it's going to take to be a successful project, and you really got to sacrifice. The scorecard that Ultra had, we kind of comprised all the votes and everything from everybody, and it was kind of a clear choice, really.
During that process, the core team, the team that was developed, that was made up of business process owners, they're the ones that evaluated the demonstration, the different functionalities that were exposed during the technology selection work to get us down to the final vendor of choice. What now comes the challenge then came with implementation. There's challenges at each step. There's hurdles to overcome. Good methodology, good application, good buy-in from Chicago Tube made those things surmountable. But there were definitely some key things that we think were success factors for us in the implementation. We knew we had a lot of customizations. We had a lot of requests, and then we didn't necessarily grant them all. We used a crawl, walk, run model, and Chris and I just repeated crawl. We even had a little graphic that showed crawl, walk, run a lot to make certain that process owners knew we were listening to them. But if they were behaving like a kid in a candy store, they weren't necessarily going to get all the candy on day one. It's important to get yourself live and get transactional stability before you start trying to optimize things and trying to go beyond what your reach is. So listening to the team was important, making certain that we didn't say no. It was more like not now. uh, or we'll prioritize it, that sort of thing. This is back to a little bit of the leadership thing, but our steering team sessions were all centered on risk management. We tried to be proactive. We tried to see what was happening ahead of time before it impacted the project.
Looking back at the implementation, certainly we could probably spend, 2 hours going over that again, Joe, right? Because we lived it for 2 years. But, I look back and I just look at that core team and just, think how much of a, we wouldn't have gotten to the other side without that core team, and really without that core team owning it. And what was interesting to me, and I think you said this at some point during that journey, Joe, was, the core team at the start, they're kind of sitting back and observing, and they're not quite owning it yet, right? And they're kind of listening, but you got to get them from listening to owning, right? And by the end, they owned it. They definitely owned it by the end, but it's that transformation that they got to go through, and it was really remarkable, for me to watch that and to see, they were calling meetings on their own, without, IT's involvement, and it was
wonderful.
I just really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was wonderful, and it made it easy to manage it. It didn't mean that our job was not challenging to get it done right, but boy, I can't imagine what it would have been if we'd been fighting proper engagement and proper ownership and the ability to cut across locations and agree on a common solution that might not be the best for me, but it's the best for the enterprise. That was a big deal. What I know, one of the challenges we had as we worked through, especially once we had the solution design delivered and we were validating in the final stages of validating the solution with end-to-end testing, was to be able to make certain that we could scale and that we could take the number of orders that we need to take per day, that we could ship the number of trucks that we need to ship per day, and the transactional volumes could be scalable. That's a key thing. That's a definite recommendation. Usually, whenever if you have experiences with or read about ERP engagements and ERP implementations, that in order to make certain that you're reviewing and and that you're in position from a data standpoint, a people standpoint, a solution standpoint, an infrastructure standpoint, all the elements before you move forward. And we use that to sort of grade ourselves. There were times when maybe there was an expectations that we were slam dunking things, and yet the readiness criteria told us we were a B+, doing well, but we had gaps. And that kept us, in the zone where we had, I call it positive tension. We're moving with aggressiveness, but we're making certain that with a metered approach that we're delivering the things that have to be delivered along the way, or be willing to call the ball and say, we're not ready. There are so many examples that we read about all the time about people that disrupt the business. And so avoiding business disruption turns out to be a lot harder than it looks, and we achieved that. Yeah. So it's definitely something to strive for, right? And we have a methodology for that, and we were able to improvise what needed to be improvised, but we were able to follow some structure. We did a concurrent deployment across the enterprise. And in order to do that, our concept was we're going to create the enterprise design, build out the enterprise solution using these cross-location process teams. And we had a leader for each functional area, and they had a cross-location remit. You keep in mind, we had fun. It wasn't just a grim determination to back up and charge hard at the wall. We found ways to take what we had and have fun with it. So I think that was good. And what I would say as a wrap up is that any project, whether it's easy or hard, it's much more fun and easier to do if you have the right partners.